Reclaim is a podcast for women, by women, on conversations that matter, with your host, Thais Sky. Together, we will explore the questions of what does it look like to reclaim our sovereignty, our worthiness, our voices as women in this messy world. No topics are barred as we offer roundtable discussions on life, spirituality, politics, and what it means to be a woman in the modern age. Let's do this. Hello, everybody. Thais Sky here. Welcome to Reclaim, a podcast on conversations that matter. Welcome to episode 8. That's right. Reclaim has been in the world for a month and a half now, and I have received so much positive feedback about this project. It is blowing my mind. And I know I say this all the time, but I am really, really grateful for all of you who are listening in, who are reviewing, who are sharing the podcast, who are telling people about this podcast. I really appreciate you. I do not take your time for granted. And I love that you are using this podcast as part of your weekly self-care routine. Speaking of self-care, there's a lot going on right now in the sexual revolution and the potency of women's voices as we continue to bring up sexual harassment, sexual allegations against powerful men. I want to take a moment to just do that whole rah-rah thing where I am so proud of us as women for really taking a stand that what was once quote-unquote culturally acceptable is no longer acceptable, and that we are going to be seeking justice for men who are inappropriately using our bodies for their pleasure. I am so proud. I know this is hard. I know it's hard to have to keep reliving the trauma that we so desperately wish could stay in the past. And yet, the fact that we are, as a collective, no longer being silent around sexual harassment, around rape, around abuse, that we are speaking up again and again and again, it's potent. It's powerful. And I honor you. And I honor this time. And it excites the fuck out of me that we may actually start to see repercussions of this type of behavior. And by that I mean, right, for the men. That men are starting to see that they cannot get away with this type of behavior anymore. So while all this stuff is coming up, I just want to take a moment and say it is overwhelming. If you're online at all, if you're on social media at all, you're probably reading something about the Me Too campaign. You're probably reading something about another sexual harassment case. It's everywhere right now. And so please take good care of yourself. Please, 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 please make sure that you are spending time bringing your nervous system back down, right? That you are committed to not just advancing the voices of women like I am, but you're also advancing yourself through your own love and compassion and kindness. Bring your kindness inward, please. Make sure that you are disconnecting. I just came back from a little getaway in Joshua Tree, and I didn't open my computer once, which was amazing for me. I checked the news. I was on social media a little bit, but for the most part, I was really able to nourish myself by being present. And that was everything. That replenishment was so healing. And it's accessible for all of us. And it doesn't mean don't ever read the news. I don't mean self-care yourself to the extent that, you don't actually do anything. That's not what I'm talking about here. I am just inviting the energy of space into your life, into your heart. There's a need for us to be working, to be activisming, to be putting ourselves out there. And there's also a time for replenishment. And let's not forget that is just as important. All right, so today's guest is Lena West. I'm not sure exactly where I connected with Lena. I think someone recommended her to be on this podcast, and I connected with her, and I just loved her energy. I love what she has to say. I love her approach to entrepreneurialism, and the nuggets of wisdom that she has for you today is really, really potent. And funny story, after I interviewed her for the podcast, I asked her to talk to me about what it would look like to work with her. And I officially hired her as my business coach, which is really, really cool. And I think speaks to how amazing this interview is, honestly. So I'm really, really excited for you to listen in. So let me read you Lina's bio. Lena West shows women entrepreneurs how to discover their inner CEO and leverage that knowledge to build a business that loves them back. She's also the creator of the CEO DNA method, a personalized inventory that supports women entrepreneurs to determine their most effective business model and marketing strategy based on their work style, unique energetic blueprint, strengths, and archetypes. And CEO DNA is accurate, highly accurate. A unique blend of coach, techie, marketing whiz, cheerleader, and intuitive guide, she helps women entrepreneurs get real about their business growth and what it truly means to show up for yourself and your business. Known for her truth-telling, direct communication style, and candor, she has helped thousands of women entrepreneurs build sustainable, freedom-based businesses. Lina says, "What makes me different is not only do my clients receive some of the most relevant, actionable business growth tactics and strategies in the world, I can also uniquely identify with women CEOs. I know they need strategies that produce results, not just now, but right now." Lina's expertise has been widely acknowledged. She is the winner of several business awards, among them BuzzFeed's Most Influential Influencers, the Network Journal's 40 Under 40, the Women's Congress's Entrepreneurship Champion for Women in Business, and was dubbed an entrepreneurial hero by NCWIT. Lina has also been featured as the cover story for publications such as Black Enterprise and the Westchester County Business Journal. Her life's work is to redefine the CEO role for women and show them how to step into their unique version of CEO and grow their business without resorting to hustling, grinding, cheeseball tactics, and Me Too strategies. She declares, "Suffering for success ends now." Whew! I'm telling you, this woman is potent, and I'm excited to be bringing her on. So while you're listening to our conversation, I want you to be thinking about your own relationship with your business. Does your business love you back? Have you found a business model that works for you? Why or why not? And what would a business model that works for you possibly look like? What's your relationship with money and getting compensated for your services? And do you have the type of support that's going to allow your business to grow and flourish? Hi, Lina. Welcome to Reclaim.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much. Yay.
Hey, I'm so glad that you're here. As I was saying before we recorded, I have heard so many great things about you in the community. You seem to be people's invisible hand, and I am excited to explore the depth of your wisdom. How are you doing?
I am phenomenal. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really, really good. I love podcast interview. Being an interviewer is so fun, and I love getting to showcase so many different people's work and perspectives. It's just really good. It's really, really good.
It is.
So you, my love female entrepreneurship and what that looks like and what that means. And I want to explore the realm of women entrepreneurs because there's so much potency there. And there's a lot of blocks that I know that as a collective women have when it comes to making money, asking for money, putting themselves out there, being visible. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts around it. So why don't we begin by telling me or telling the world why entrepreneurship? Like what does that mean to you? Like why does that excite you?
I really absolutely 100% engaged with, turned on by the idea of the agency that it gives to a woman to be able to earn money for the impact and transformation that she delivers to her clients and to the world. And I am someone who believes that when women start making money and having impact and doing so on their own terms, without anyone telling them when to come in, when to leave, what to talk about, what to write, how to do it, and just allowing them to be in their zone of genius, I am someone who believes that that can only lead to additional greatness and exponential opportunities for other people who are adjacent to that woman experiencing and stepping into that agency. And I am very much optimistic, positive that that is what is going to change the world.
Yeah. Why is it so motherfucking hard?
You know, it is really hard. I always tell people that being an entrepreneur is an amplifier, right? So I'll give you an example. Money, marriage, and children are also amplifiers. So people will say, oh, well, this person, they made a lot of money and now they're jerky. No. They were jerky before they got the money. The money just allowed you to see how jerky they were. And so entrepreneurship is the same thing. Money, marriage, children, and entrepreneurship, they're all amplifiers. If you don't know who you are before you become an entrepreneur, you will find out.
That's right.
If you are if you are in any way sabotaging yourself, if you are in any way limiting yourself, you will see that and it will be clear. And that is not easy to deal with.
That's right.
Listen, the reality is there's a whole bunch, and it's probably the majority of the population at this point, although I believe the tide is shifting, who don't want to face their stuff.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship will make you face your stuff around how you feel about yourself. It will make you face your self-worth stuff. It will make you face your money stuff. It will make you face your jealousy stuff. It will make you face your FOMO stuff. So all of your stuff that you are dragging around, like Erykah Badu says, bag lady, it will make you face your stuff.
Yeah.
And not everyone is able to do that or wants to do that or has the intestinal fortitude or the ovaries to do that. It's hard. It is hard to see yourself, to say, I blew it. I didn't send that proposal in not because I didn't have time, but because I sabotaged myself.
Yeah.
That's hard to say.
Yeah. And we have no one to blame, right? Like in
Nope.
corporate, we can always blame, oh, it was the boss, it was the colleagues, it was this. And in entrepreneurship, all those arrows are pointed back to yourself. And it shows you exactly your propensity to want to blame, right? And you either face it or you don't.
Absolutely. I mean, it is not if everyone could do it, if everyone was capable of doing it, the world would be filled with entrepreneurs. Everyone would be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But it's hard to have the confidence. I always tell my clients, listen, you protect your confidence. Everything that you do in your business comes from you protecting your confidence and comes from a place of confidence, from launching new programs and products to having sales conversations with potential clients and customers, all the way up to your marketing and your branding, your visual branding, all of that, your financials, it all comes from a place of confidence. And if you don't have the ability or the understanding of how important your confidence is, and you're not willing to stand up for yourself with boundaries and protect your confidence, you're not going to make it. It's not going to be easy for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious what you mean. Let's dive a little bit deeper into what you mean by protecting your confidence. Like, what does that look like?
Ooh, honey. Okay. So it means, who are the people who are around you? That for me is like number one in protecting your confidence. So we're going to talk about a couple things. So first thing it means is the people in your orbit. Who are the people who are around you? Who are the people whispering in your ear? Are they whispering words of support and encouragement, or are they whispering words of defeat? Right? I had a post on Facebook that I did a couple weeks ago where I had a conversation with a friend of mine. And at the end of the conversation, I could feel that she was doubtful. And I just spoke words of abundance over her whole, like not just her business, but her whole life, everything that was going on, her husband, her children, her, like the whole thing, her cats, like the whole thing. And you need people like that. You do not need people in your ear. Oh, why did you do that? I don't know about that. That's not to say you don't need people to tell you the truth, but you don't need people who are secretly haters.
Yeah.
People who are jealous of you, like all that frenemy stuff. I don't do frenemies. You either my friend or you're not. Like, I don't do the frenemy thing, right? I don't do that. And so it's about who you have in your orbit, and do they protect your confidence? Do they help you to protect your own confidence? Either they are really supportive of you and they are holding space for you to be greater, and they are not the people who will remind you, oh, I remember when you didn't have any clients. Well, I remember that too. Why must you bring it up? Kind of a thing, like those people, the memory keepers. I think I wrote a post about that months ago. And so number one is your orbit and protecting your confidence, the people you have in your orbit. The second thing is boundaries. What are you, I'm not a huge fan of Star Jones, but I do love what she has to say. She said, when you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And so it becomes a question of, what are your values? What will you do, and what won't you do? When and how and who do you allow to have access to you, and how much? All of those things are so important in protecting your confidence. So important. Because good fences make good neighbors. There's that cliche, and cliches are cliches for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? Boundaries let people know. You teach people how to treat you. Boundaries let people know, no, you can't do that here. Or yes, I'm welcome to your feedback is welcome. That is something that is integral to protecting your confidence in a major way. The other part about protecting your confidence is having the courage to ask for what you want and want what you want. It took me a long time to say, I want really nice, high quality things. I like to stay in 5-diamond hotels. I like to rent yachts. I like to fly privately. It took me a long time because there's so much judgment out there about, especially for women, about what we want and what we don't want. And, it's in order to be an enlightened person, you have to wear a burlap sack. Like, I'm not here for that. I'm all about mansions and mantras.
Yeah. I hear that. I'm curious about your thoughts on protecting your confidence when nothing is fucking working in your business. Because
that's where you have got to have your own. That's where it's your own confidence in being able to want what you want and being able to see it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're clear about what you want and you're not ashamed about what you want, what you want will pull you forward. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, I like really nice things. It could be like, listen, I just want to not be able to work for half the year. I want to be able to work 6 months and then not work for 6 months, or work every other month, or whatever it is that you want. Once you give yourself permission to want that thing, what you are then able to do is say, okay, I know that there are some things that are not happening, that are not going well for me right now, and that might be an understatement, but I am clear on what I want and I can see it. And if I can see it, it means I can have it. So expecting things to go well in your business, again, I tell my clients all the time, stop expecting all your programs to sell out. Like, stop believing the hype, right? So, the Public Enemy song, don't believe the hype. Stop believing all of this 86-figure lifestyle stuff that you see on the internet. Stop thinking your stuff is supposed to sell out. Stop thinking you're going to scale your business when you haven't sold a damn thing. Like, how can you scale if you haven't sold? I need people to really manage their expectations at this stage.
Where were you fucking, God, 5 fucking years ago? That would have been really helpful.
Yeah, one of my clients, she's like, I only got 3 people to register. I'm like, that's great. This is the first time you're offering this. Women, please give yourself the gift of starting small. Please.
Yes.
Give yourself the gift of starting small. Give yourself that gift of getting it right in a small audience where you can tweak and you can hone and you can make it excellent.
Yes, I so wish that I would have been able to hear that, because I'm pretty positive 5 years ago I wouldn't have even been able to hear it, because I so believed that unless I made a large amount of money, my work was insignificant. Like, I could not be a good teacher, coach, healer, blah, 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 unless I had all this social proof.
Yes.
And because of that belief, it hindered my growth, as you can imagine. People felt like I was not really appreciating them, and you can imagine why. Because I was, 3 was not enough. I wanted 30. And so instead of giving the 3 my all, I was obsessed with the 30. And it took a lot of hitting bottom for me to finally now be at a space where I just love my fucking 3. If I get 3, I'm going to love the fuck out of them. If I get 10, great. 30, fine. But I am happy with the 1. I would give her my all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that is what, to answer your question about, like, well, what do you do when it's all not going well and how do you protect your confidence, is I need people to be way more grateful, because you don't have, even for opportunities or clients that are not necessarily a fit, people don't have to ask you to do anything. They don't have to invite you to anything. I see people doing a lot of like first world complaints, a lot of just really complaining about, I keep getting these invitations to these things that I don't want to go to, or I keep getting, you better be grateful if somebody's inviting you to do anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to accept, just in gratitude. And how you pull yourself forward in your business when things are not going well is give yourself the gift of starting small and be in gratitude for what you do have. If you have 3 people, rock it. Show up, because what you do when you show up for 3 people is you tell the universe and yourself and your subconscious that you are ready for 300.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that.
When you half-ass 3 people, you say, I'm not ready for 300.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So based on your experience, since you've been doing this for a heck of a long time.
Yes.
That means that you've been really witnessing the patterns of the landscape of female entrepreneurship. And that's such a gift that I get to talk to you as someone who has been there for such a long time. And I'm curious, can you make some statements and some thoughts around what you're seeing in the industry and what the problems are and what what you're finding that is deeply problematic, but also what you're finding that is deeply liberating and that really excites you?
So I would have to say the main trend or pattern that I've seen over the years is, and this is why I do what I do, is, and it's shifting now, which is good. But in the past, what I've seen is, all things being equal, women would always get information and always act on information late and last. And when they would get information, they would get the short end of the stick. Like, it would be bad information or really jacked up advice that's not really meant for women entrepreneurs, that's meant for some guy who's 22 who lives in his parents' basement kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm really happy to be witnessing right now is women who are like, no, I'm taking the lead. I am making changes in my business based on who I am, based on me and my preferences, because I am not a 22-year-old male who's living in my parents' basement.
Yeah.
2 children, I have a partner, I have no children, whatever their situation is, they are making decisions based on who they are and not on some external imagery that is held up as the gold standard. And that's my work. My work is all about building a business that loves you back. Because we put so much in. We want our business to love us back. That's all we want. Yeah. And so that's what it's what's made me start my company, because I said somewhere, it's what gets me out of bed every morning. Somewhere, some woman entrepreneur is getting really crappy business advice. I cannot have that. I will not have that. And it's starting to change. Women are stepping into their power. They're stepping into their agency, the ability to make decisions for themselves. And again, not based on some external archetype that's held up as be all to end all. And accepting the fact that, listen, my definition of success is not going to look like Thais's definition of success.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It doesn't mean I suck. It doesn't mean Thais is wrong. It just means she's doing her thing and I'm doing my thing, and it's all good.
Yeah.
What I also see is collaboration happening very easily and a lot often. So I do not believe in competition, because I believe the only way competition can exist is if someone is being inauthentic. So the only way I can truly compete with Thais is if I'm trying to be you.
Right.
I would have to be trying to be you in order to compete. And people are getting that. Women are getting that now, that I don't have to hate on her. I don't have to follow her on Instagram and secretly want her life. I can build my own version of whatever that is. So it's not, I want her life or I want her business. It's, you want how those things make you feel. So what does that mean for you? Right? Let's translate that to you. And so I'm loving this trend of women holding themselves and each other accountable towards just leaving the competition behind. I don't believe in co-opetition. I don't believe in any of that stuff. That's all scarcity. And so it's very much about this. What I'm seeing now is very much about women stepping into what's possible.
Yeah.
And I'm digging that so hard. I'm really, really here for that, because we have got to support. We've got to support each other.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that real quick, supporting each other, because on the flip, there's a danger to that, taking that to the extreme of if that means that if I'm calling out something that is happening that is maybe problematic, then I'm not supporting women.
Oh no.
Right. I'm seeing that being the way that we use that. I don't believe in taking down women to mean then women can't be held accountable. I can't speak to the ways that this is a problem because then I'm against women. How do we find that line? How do we find that boundary?
The reason that happens is because everybody wants to, they've got the wrong definition of what support is. Please don't play me out like I'm some type of sucker, right? Don't, like, that's not, support doesn't mean I'm not willing to speak up and I'm not going to say something is negative, something is bad if I see someone doing something that's low vibration or that's predatory or that's not supportive of women, right? Let's expand our definition about, or change our definition of what support means, because it doesn't mean the sucker definition of support.
Yeah.
You just accept whatever somebody does and you just support them blindly. Like that's blind support. That's not support.
Yeah.
That's nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's absolutely imperative that women call each other in and say, I know you're better than this. I know you are.
Yeah.
You might not see it right now, but I'm going to hold space for you. And I'm going to also tell you that what you're doing is not so hot. Here's why. Maybe you didn't get this memo. So let me make sure this memo slides into your DM.
Yeah.
And so that you understand the impact that you're having. And this probably isn't the message you want to be sending, but this is the message that you're sending. So I don't see support as blind support. We need to change our definitions on that. And quite frankly, I'm just going to keep it real because that is who I am and that is what I do. Anyone who thinks that support means blind support and not taking down, you guys can't see me, but I'm doing the rabbit ears, taking down women. The only way to not take down a woman is to not, talk about what she's doing wrong. Those are people who don't want to be called on their stuff.
Yes.
I want people to call me on my stuff. You see me doing something crazy? Please love me enough to take me aside and tell me. Please love me enough to call me in on it. Please, because if people don't call you on it, they don't really care.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm the kind of person where if I don't really care, I'm not even going to comment on it because it's just not in my orbit. It's not in my wheelhouse. I'm not even thinking about it. But if I love someone enough, why wouldn't you want your fellow women entrepreneurs to love you enough to say, hey, let me holler at you for a second. Let's talk about this because this is not right. This is misaligned. You say you want X, but you're over here doing Y. Do you see how we might have a problem with that? Do you see how you are out of order in that? And wanting the best. And sometimes the best is to realize where you may be falling short.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that.
I had a huge public failure of wasn't a failure. It was a huge misstep when I launched a program a couple of years ago. And you know what I did? I just came clean. I wrote an email to everybody and I said, listen, I had to step away from my business. I hired a woman entrepreneur to take over this part of my business because I thought I was doing the right thing, putting money back to, giving money back to women entrepreneurs. I had hired her, I vetted her, and they totally dropped the ball. And because I was engaged with something that was going on in my family, I wasn't even paying attention. So I dropped the ball. So, you have to own your stuff.
Yes.
And like I said, why wouldn't you want your fellow women entrepreneurs to love you enough to bring it to your attention, to correct you so that you can course correct? Yes. There's a saying in business, ABT, always be tacking. And tacking is a term that's used in sailing. Because of the water and the current, you can't sail straight. You're always moving. And so tacking is when the captain of the vessel gets you back on course. Yeah. And it happens, depending upon the length of the journey, it happens hundreds of times over the course of an extended journey. And so you always have to be tacking. You always have to be moving back to your course. And that's not always going, all this stuff about always love and light and it's going to always feel good. If it doesn't feel good, it's not right. I am so tired of that because it's not always going to look right. It is not always going to feel right. It is not always going to feel good. And that is just life. Yeah. Get over it. Entrepreneurship and spirituality doesn't apply some magic lens. It's not like, this isn't Snapchat. You can't just apply some lens to life and just,
whoa.
I'm just saying.
But I love my spiritual lens Snapchat filter of life. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, hold on. You can love your spiritual Snapchat lens over life all you want. You just can't visit that on me. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? You can love it. And as long as you stay over there with all of that, we're good. But the minute you bring it into my orbit, now I have a responsibility to set some boundaries to say, hey, you can't do that bypassing thing over here. I don't do that. Yeah. You can do that over there with you.
Yeah. I think what I love about ABT and what I was thinking of is when I did one of my first initial launches, I didn't launch for a very long time in my business. And then when I did, one of my first launches was a great success and millions of dollars, billions. Oh, yay. Changing the world, and then the second launch was a complete disaster and it didn't work. And I took it so personally,
Mm.
Lena, that I was not able to tack, right? I was not able to quickly pivot and make some changes and go with what I was seeing and make some edits because I was too busy making it mean that I was a bad person and that I was wrong and that I was inadequate and a failure. And I think there's so many reasons for why that happened. But I think one of them is because we just don't talk about failed launches. We don't talk about how they happen at quite a frequent basis because we just see people launch, but then we don't see the results of that launch. So we just assume that it was a good launch. And then we're heartbroken when we experience that. And for me, learning how to not take these things so personally was what gave me the space to be able to pivot and to really listen to what people were telling me they needed from me. That was a hard lesson to learn, that's for sure.
It is. It's hard. And you know what I call that? I have words for that. And it is bad hair days don't make it to Instagram. People are, especially women. I speak about women because I serve women entrepreneurs. I work with and for women entrepreneurs. I'm sure men do this, but I don't work with them or for them. So I don't know specifically. Same. But I will say that women entrepreneurs, they are always, not always, that's a bad word used. A lot of the time, they are comparing their real life to someone's curated Instagram feed. And, bad hair days don't make it to Instagram. And it's really funny, but it's true. And we don't talk about these things because we make them about us. Like you said, it's the ego. And because we think we are our businesses. You are not your business. You are you.
Yes.
I'm not my business. My business is a part of what makes me Lena, but my business is not Lena. I'm Lena, and it's the making the business you and making it all about you where you don't see what your market is telling you. You don't see the changes and the shifts that you need to make. You don't see the handwriting on the wall. You don't see any of that. And that's another thing that's just, as my friend Stacy would say, that's got to die.
Are you talking about Stacy Sheldon?
Yes. Love her.
Yeah, she's fabulous. I'm going to get her on the podcast. We were actually supposed to interview this morning, but she had something come up. So I am definitely going to get her on. But yes. So tell me, I want to know what you're finding to be women's, let's say like number one, and it doesn't have to be absolutely the number one, but one of the greatest challenges that gets in the way of their success in business. Because you talked about comparatives, that being one. What's another one?
I would say hiding behind 6 figures and $1 million.
Ooh.
Those numbers mean nothing. I ask people when I'm doing discovery calls with new clients and I say, well, what type of money would you like to make? And they say, I want to make $100,000. And I said, no, you don't. Yes, I do. I definitely want to make $100,000. I want to make $1 million. Yes, I do. And I challenged one of my clients one time. And I said, pretend that it's like the movie Brewster's Millions. I said, pretend that I'm an investor. I just gave you a check for $1 million. You have 24 hours to spend this money. What are you going to spend it on? And I said, you need to show me an itemized report like you would if I was a venture capitalist. You need to show me a use of funds. Where is this money going to go? And she could only spend like $740,000 of the $1 million. And that was like with her grandkids, with a trust fund, her house paid off, spa vacations, visits to her daughter overseas, like all the boxes checked, all the insurance, everything. She could only spend $740,000. Now, to me, $743,000, that is a real number. That's not $1 million. It's not $100,000. It is a real number. And when the number has meaning to you, when you know what you're going to do with the money, you are able to create a container for that money.
Yeah.
And so I would say another thing that I see all the time is hiding behind 6 figures and 7 figures, because Six figures means anything from $100,000 all the way up to $999,000, like all the way up. And it creates a pocket for women to hide in around money and around what they want. Like it's like a double-sided demon pocket.
Yeah. What do you think it is with money and women?
Oh gosh. Institutionalized oppression.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care who you are, how strong you are, what transformation you bring to the table. If for the past however many years you've made 72 cents when men have made $1, like that does something to your self-esteem.
Yeah.
It does something to you. And it makes you doubt. Every commercial, every ad, every television show that shows women in a subservient type of capacity, it's institutionalized oppression.
Yeah.
And then you have that, right? So that's kind of like the base layer of the money cake. And then you have whatever happens in your family life, like whatever your parents' relationships were to money, whatever happened in your family about money, whether money was wasted or just thrown around or, stuffed away in sock drawers to never be seen again, or stuffed under the mattress, or, whatever your family's money story, that's the second layer on that cake. And then it's whatever your personal story is with money. I used to have this belief because of something that my father told me when I was little. And I remember him teaching me how to count money. And I remember quite clearly that I knew what the quarter was because it was the biggest. I knew what the penny was because it was a different color. But the thing that I had the problem with was the dime and the nickel. And he was teaching me how to count money. And I remember the dime and the nickel, I said to myself as a kid, I remember thinking this, I remember this clearly, shows you the impact it had on me. I remember saying to myself, how can the dime be worth more if it's smaller in size, right? And so I remember him saying to me, you better, and I must have been 5 years old, you better figure out how to count this money, because if you don't count this money and you don't know how to count, people are going to rip you off every chance they get. And so What signal did that send to me as a 5-year-old?
Yeah.
That signal that was sent to me, how I received that message was, if you don't have money, people can't rob you.
Yeah.
And so for so many years, I didn't have anything because I was scared that someone would take it from me. Like, it gets deep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the part of the money cake, the top level of the money cake of what have been your experiences around money, and what has money showed you? Have you had a partner that has lorded money over you, that has said, well, if you do these deeds over here, well, then I will give you X. Mm-hmm. That creates dysfunctional relationship to money.
I've been thinking about that a lot, actually. Recently, I've been thinking about my money lineage and everything that I've grown up to witness, and my thoughts on capitalism and patriarchy, big thoughts, and my own money story. And that is, it's fascinating how every individual has everybody that I've spoken to has at least one experience of money that completely altered their life.
Yes, it does. It changes. It changes you. It changes what you think is possible for you.
Yeah.
It changes. It changes you. And like I said, I don't care how strong you are. People say, well, society is a poor excuse. And I'm like, you say that probably from a position of...
That's probably a man.
Of privilege. Yeah, right. Exactly. And so I am very much about no matter how strong you are, as I said, having that repeated message drilled in over and over and over and over, especially during your formative years, it's going to do something to you. It's going to have an impact. And these things are ingrained in us. And then what we do is we get frustrated with ourselves. I teach my clients about life lessons. Everyone's got life lessons, everyone. Some people, their life lesson is confidence, and it is the thing that they are going to have to work on for their entire time in this body, in this realm. Some people, their life lessons are around money, and all things being equal, whenever anything happens in their life, their money takes a hit. Some people, all things being equal, whenever anything happens in their life, their confidence takes a hit. You've got life lessons, and what ends up happening is we are told by society that there's literally a coach out there that says your net worth is your self-worth.
Oh, sister. Oh, yep.
Like, what in the actual hell?
What the actual fuck? No, I know. My work is around worthiness. I teach women how to, cultivate a different relationship with their worthiness. And so many of them come to me with that understanding that if they're not making money, that they're not valued in the world. I'm like, where did you get that? Well, part of the entrepreneurial space is charge your worth. What does that even mean? How do you charge your innate deservability and belonging on this planet? There is no price point you can put on that.
It is infuriating and is limiting, and it puts you in a box, and it makes women feel shame. And so what ends up happening is they think, like you said, if I don't make the money, then I'm not worth whatever, I'm not a good whatever it is that they do. And you tell someone that long enough, you send them those messages long enough, and they will believe you.
Yes.
And that is what has happened. And as I was saying, we don't even give ourselves a moment to get out of those patterns. We hear it in a podcast like this. We will read it in a book. We will read it in a blog post, and we will think immediately that this is supposed to change right now. This has got to shift and change.
Yeah.
And I am saying that this did not happen. This is not only probably something that stems from your childhood, this challenge with money, but it is also in your DNA. It is also part of the collective story of women. And you cannot expect to change that with a meditation sequence, one meditation sequence. You're not going to change that by repeating one mantra every day for 7 days. Like, that's not what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And that's not to say meditations and mantras don't work. That is to say that your life lessons are your life lessons, and it's going to take time to excavate. And if you think that it's going to be immediate, and something is going to be immediate, I got news for you.
Yes.
Got news for you.
Yeah. I feel like we can just keep talking about this. Do you have any final thoughts, any final things for women entrepreneurs to be thinking on and sitting with as they're navigating their confidence and their money and their worth and anything else?
I will say this. You're not always going to believe in yourself. It is what it is. Don't expect it from yourself, because there will be times where you will think, I can't do this. I don't have it. I don't have what it takes to cut it. I don't have the chops. I don't have the experience. You will not always believe in yourself. And that is why it is so important for you to have at least one person, hopefully a few people, who you can believe in their belief in you until you can believe in yourself again. And if you are listening to this podcast or reading the show notes or however you're consuming this, and you don't have that person in your orbit, that's your next job. Like, that's your job. That's your assignment from this podcast, is to find someone who you trust enough to believe in their belief in you until you can believe in yourself again.
Yes. So good. Thank you so much, Lina, for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
and I had a lot of thoughts around entrepreneurship, money, confidence, and worthiness, and now we want to hear yours. Come hang out with us on Instagram and Facebook. You can find Lina on Instagram at Lena_West and me at I am Thais Sky. And if you want to check out more of Lina's work, go to www.linawest.com. And as always, you can learn more about me and my work at www.thaissky.com. See you next week.